When you get a little older, everybody tends to forget things. When I was in the 5th grade, I had a teacher that was probably about my age. She was probably in her 70s, and she was close to retirement, and she used to forget things. And the way she remembered everything was she put it on Post-it notes and stuck it to herself. So she'd have little yellow Post-it notes all over herself, and when you'd walk in and see her, she was definitely a sight to see. There are some things that you just never forget, and I put together a list of things that I'll never forget. They're not really associated or grouped together in any kind of order. I just kind of put them in date order. So we'll go back to the beginning. The first thing that I really remember that was significant, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in a previous video. I was playing with a friend of mine out in the yard. We were just doing what little boys do. We were digging holes in the yard and playing with little plastic army guys and stuff. This was about 1955, and I accidentally I was digging with a claw hammer, and I accidentally chopped my buddy's thumb off with the claws on the claw hammer. I probably won't forget that. It was really a mess. I wrapped his hand in my t-shirt as quick as I could, and we got him inside my dad's store. My dad wrapped his hand up, and we took him to the doctor. It was kind of scary. I'll never forget that. I'll never forgive myself for cutting off his thumb. In 1957, a tornado hit Oak Cliff, Texas. It hit it pretty darn hard, and our house was in Oak Cliff, Texas. We just moved there from Texarkana. A tornado tore up all the houses on one side of us and most of the houses on the other side of us, but it left 3 houses standing, and one of them was ours. We got pretty lucky on that, but I'll never forget that because of the wind and the noise and everything in the house shaking and vibrating. It was pretty traumatic, and overall that's something you never forget. And I was only like 6 years old at the time, but I remember it just like it was yesterday. This may be more of a claim to fame than a memory. I actually worked at 7-Eleven number 1. 7-Eleven number 1 was in Oak Cliff, Texas. And when I was in my last years of high school, I worked in that 7-Eleven store. It was number 1. 7-Eleven didn't used to be a convenience store. It was actually an ice house. And then they started selling some other things like a little bread and milk and things like that. And finally it grew into the convenience stores that are similar to what we have today. They're quite a bit different now, but that was the convenience store concept. So there's my claim to fame. I worked at 7-Eleven number 1 in 1963 and 1964. In November of '63, I wanted to see President Kennedy. He was going to visit Dallas. On the 22nd, I went into school early. I decided that I wanted to see President Kennedy's motorcade. I couldn't really go because I was in school. I did have a way to get there. I had my little '55 Chevy, but I couldn't get out of class. So I decided that, well, this is just too important, and I skipped school. That was pretty rare for me. I didn't skip school very often. I had on occasion, but it was nothing like this. I went into Dallas in my car, and finally found a place to park near the printing building for the Dallas Morning News. And then I walked over to the grassy knoll area. I did get there in time to see what was going on and to see the assassination, except I didn't see it. I only heard it. I heard the shots. I was just too far back in the crowd and did not see the assassination. However, if you talk about something you're going to remember, that's definitely something you're going to remember. Later, I had a little bit more involvement. I had a friend that lived right next door to Beverly Oliver, who was one of the dancers at Jack Ruby's nightclub, and I got to meet her. One thing kind of led to another there. But hearing the assassination, Probably wasn't the same as seeing it, but it sure was a memorable thing. That I won't forget. One of the most exciting things for me was actually seeing the Beatles live in 1964 at the Dallas Memorial Auditorium. It was a whole new era of music. I'd grown up listening to things like, maybe Chuck Berry and some of the little bebop groups and things like that. And the Beatles were a total departure from that. And that's something I'll never forget. There was so much excitement in the auditorium, you just can't believe it. It was phenomenal. In 1968, I went to the premiere in Dallas, not the world premiere or anything, but in Dallas of 2001 Space Odyssey. And that was pretty phenomenal. It was at the Majestic Theater, which was one of the old style theaters. It was really fancy. Had the big wide screen. We saw it in 70 millimeter. It was just fantastic. I'll never forget that either. That was just, it was just an outstanding visual experience. The 2001 Space Odyssey has never lost its appeal. It's still popular. People still watch it, and people still go, I can't believe it looks so real that it looked like it was filmed on location. That was an amazing event. I went with some friends, and we just had a great time. In 1968, I went to the Hemisphere, which was a small, like a World's Fair, only it was a small one in San Antonio, Texas. During the time I was there, the little mini monorail fell off the tracks and killed some people. And I saw it all and shot some photos of it with my camera. The news guys there wanted my film. I gave it to them. I never got credit for it or paid for it, which I guess that doesn't matter. Terrible thing was that there were people that died in that crash and a lot of people injured, but I'll never forget that for sure. I also tried to go to Woodstock and I missed it by about, 3 days. My van broke down and didn't make it there. But later, 2 weeks later after Woodstock, I did make it to the Louisville Pop Festival in Louisville, Texas. Hey, it was big, nothing like Woodstock, and it probably won't be in the history books, but the Louisville Pop Festival was really quite fun. I had a good time and heard a lot of good tunes. I always wished I'd made it to Woodstock. That would have been something to tell. But hey, some things, what do they say? Shit happens. Well, it happened. I didn't make it, and my van didn't either. I think it cost me nearly $200 to get the van fixed. That was not fun either. In 1980, I got to fly on the Concorde. Sadly, I didn't get to fly on an international flight on the Concorde. Braniff Airlines was flying the Concorde from New York to Dallas, subsonic, not supersonic. But I did get to ride on it, and that's definitely something that I won't forget. It was pretty interesting. The airplane was really unique, and I'll never forget that either. That was really that was a flying opportunity that I'm glad I took. I don't think Braniff Airlines is around anymore, but flying on the Concorde was an opportunity that I just couldn't turn it down. I had to do it. I wish I'd been able to fly it from London to New York or something like that, but hey, things just don't always work out that way. I was a salesman at the time, and I did have Europe in my territory, but that opportunity to fly on the Concorde didn't happen, not supersonic. Hey, you look out the window, it still looked fast. In 2005, I really lucked out on Hurricane Katrina. I was in New Orleans and had been staying in a hotel there. It had been raining pretty heavy. The streets were a little bit flooded and things like that, but it wasn't awful. The second day I was there, I got up in the morning and went out to my car, and somebody had been going over the overpass that was next to the parking lot and had shot a bullet into the hood of my car. I had a big bullet hole right in the center of my hood. It kind of made me mad. I decided, well, hell, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to get out of New Orleans. So I packed up my stuff and packed up my girlfriend at the time, and we headed out. Luckily, we missed Katrina. If we'd stayed, that would have been terrible. We would have probably had our car flooded. and been trapped there for days. It was just terrible, and we missed it all because somebody shot a bullet through my hood. That's probably the big things that I remember. I probably could come up with some other little things, but nothing as significant as those. Those are things that I'll always remember. They're things that happened that were really strange. I have had some other things happen that were memorable, like I did shoot some burglars off my front porch at my business in Dallas. That was certainly a memorable event, but it's not anything that I really want to recall. Overall, life's been pretty good. There's been a lot of great memories, pleasant memories, and things like that, and a lot of things that I've forgotten. If they do come up, I'm going to write them on little Post-it notes and stick them to myself. I think that my school teacher had a really good idea there. This is JR, the TextPat OTG, saying thanks for watching.